Happy Vlogmas, everybody. Today is December 12th, Saturday. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous weekend, that it got off to a very great start. Fred and I are here to fill you in on everything we've been doing today and let you know about some of our future projects and what we have planned for the rest of our weekend as well. So, we are doing okay here today. It finally got back down to the typical cold weather we normally see the winter time. So we're definitely trying to stay all warm in the house and try not to get out if we don't have to. But other than that, we are all doing well. Hopefully you guys, whatever neck of the woods you're in, you are working on projects and getting ready for Christmas like we are. And we're excited to share some of the things we worked on today with you. So we always start our Vlogmas episode with the Arne and Carlos Advent calendar ornament for the day. And today is day 12. So the ornament today, the pattern is a very traditional Norwegian design, and they get into today basically the history behind the actual Norwegian or the colorwork star that everybody is very, very familiar with. And this ball's pattern is kind of a take on that. It's not the actual 8-pointed star. It's kind of a hybrid, so it shows half the star and then half of it is kind of another real familiar colorwork sweater pattern that you see in a lot of their Arne and Carlos, especially in a lot of their projects that they have, patterns that they have. So today's ornament is called Hauling, and here it is. And it's very, like I said, it looks very much like a colorwork sweater, you know, like the yoke that you would normally see. And it was very, very fun to knit today. Very much in just the style of just a traditional Norwegian Christmas or winter pattern. And so it was a lot of fun, and it was definitely something that this one went pretty quick. I kept getting distracted like I usually do, but it went pretty quick, and it worked up pretty fast, and I'm really, really happy with it. This is definitely one of those that turns out really, really well, and when you get done with it, you are thoroughly thrilled at your handiwork. And this is definitely one of those too that gives you some encouragement into knitting colorwork, especially if you were going to do a sweater. Basically, this kind of gives you the boost in confidence that you need to say, yeah, you actually can do this, and carry your floats, and not have just a whole lot of puckering, you know, behind your colorwork. So yeah, I really like this pattern a lot. And the red and white, of course, just look just great with this pattern. They are recommending on all of their pattern, if you go out to their website and you buy it, their recommended yarn is a Rowan DK that is wool and alpaca. And I wanted to shop here locally, so I opted for a wool and alpaca yarn that is from a local dyer, or sorry, not dyer, a local yarn shop here. And the yarn is called Big Bad Wool Weepaka. And I'm kind of getting down to the end of it. I was looking around to see, and I don't see where I've got a skein of it that I can show you that I've got left, the band. But anyway, I'll put a little picture here of the yarn I'm using, and it is a wool alpaca blend. It's just a slightly different ratio. And the colors I'm using, the red is called Redbird, the white is called Raw White, and the green, which is the one color that we don't use very much of, so we only had to get like just one skein of it, for Wipaka is called Olive U, like the food and the animal, EWE. So I'm having a lot of fun knitting these, and it's not too late. They keep mentioning even on their podcast, their Sit and Knit for a Bit podcast every day, that you can still participate. They're doing a little giveaway on Instagram, and every day people are going out and posting pictures of their ornaments, and using the hashtags Arne and Carlos and hashtag Sit and Knit for a Bit. And they've shown on just about every episode now, they're giving away, when all this is over, each one of them is going to pick their favorite, and they are going to give away kind of a prize bag full of, and the bag is one of their trademark Arne and Carlos bags, tote bags, and then they're giving away, I think, a pattern book and then some knitting notions. So it's really, really exciting, but it's just nice. If you go out and just do a search on Instagram for Sit and Knit for a Bit, and you see all of the ornaments and all the different colors and the different ways people are decorating. One person, the one about the time that the ice skate was the one that we were all knitting, they had hung skates in a tree with the ornaments and some of the other ornaments too, but it was just incredible. It was just a really beautiful picture, and of course there's snow on the ground, and the tree was bare, but it was absolutely fantastic. So I encourage you, even if you aren't participating, even if you aren't knitting along, you should definitely go check out some of the other people who are knitting, and some of them, they're already done. They've already knitted up all 24 as fast as they could, and they don't take that long. You could probably do 2 or 3 a day if that's all you were doing. But I kind of like doing them one at a time, and I also kind of like doing the one, getting it done, and then about that time is when they post their new YouTube video. So then I get to hear the story behind the pattern. So yeah, that's kind of been my routine with these, and I have been enjoying it very, very much. It's been definitely something that has been worth following along, just to get to see every day the ornament that I knit, and then the history or the culture or the story behind the pattern that they designed. So that's fantastic. So in addition, of course, to that Advent, I'm also participating, in the Katrinkles stitch marker, 24-day stitch marker Advent calendar. And today is day 12, of course. And this is the little container that it came in. And these are, basically I'm almost halfway done. So they sent them all packaged in this little box, the little felted container with the cute little Santa Flamingo pin attached. And basically every day I've been opening these along with you to show you what they have every day. And you have to pardon the sound. I usually have these kind of pre-cut before I start this video, but there's one thing I kind of forgot to do in my setup. So if you heard that little snip, I'm trying not to open the envelopes by like ripping them open and you hearing all the paper tearing and stuff. That's just terrible. But I do like to just cut the top 1/8 of an inch off like that. So that way you're seeing them, I'm seeing them for the first time when you are. So, all right, so today's number 12. And Katrinkles, by the way, I always try to mention, they are a knitting notions maker out of Rhode Island. Yesterday I posted some pictures, and I'll post them again here, of some of the kinds of things besides just stitch markers that they make. I think I just got an email like a few days ago, so I took kind of a bunch of screenshots of some of the other stuff. So I've been posting those here just to kind of give you an idea of, everybody's got a lot of stitch markers, but maybe there's something you've always wanted. or you maybe there's a knitting notion that you thought of that you didn't realize was available. And so I like posting those pictures here so you guys can go see. But you should definitely check out their website. Most of their stuff is wood, but they do also acrylics. So, you know, if you see something you like, you should definitely spend maybe some of that Christmas money you get on a nice gift for yourself after the holidays. So, all right, so today's stitch marker is a little sock with stockinette knit stitches on it. Very, very cute. I like these a lot. I like the detail in that. We had one, I think I had one the other day that was a star with that same stockinette stitch on it, but very, very, very cute. Absolutely adorable. So, you know, when you need to mark those heel rounds on your socks, there you go. That's definitely the one to keep in mind to use. So very, very, very cute. All right. So, in addition, I normally have a 12 days of stitching that I did for today, and today didn't get away from me, but I got distracted by other projects, which I'm going to share here in just a minute. But one of the projects I did do, because today actually ended up being a sewing day for me, so I'll show you some of the things I worked on earlier. But because I had the sewing machine out, and because I wanted to take a second crack at trying to make some kind of Christmas ornament that looked a little bit better than that one did, I took one of my 12 days of stitching projects that I finished, which was the little Deck the Halls tree that I'll post here, the picture of the finished object, and I kind of wanted to see if I could make a little tree ornament. And I'm still, I guess you might say, working out the kinks of sewing a cross stitch project, but this is my second attempt. I definitely think this is better. It's still not perfect. I think part of the deal is for me is I'm wanting the fabric to be raw on the outside of the cross stitch fabric, the work to be raw on the outside of the fabric that I'm sewing onto, and I did a much better job this time in achieving that. However, though, in finishing this ornament, I did manage to snag some of the raw edges, so they're a little bit rough, and the bottom of the ornament, I'll show you here in a minute, is not quite square, but I think it's a far better ornament than this one turned out to be, and I definitely did a better job of thinking, planning a little bit on how I wanted to achieve my finished look. So this is my finished ornament, and the colors were, you know, the colors for the cross stitch were chosen by the designer, and this was a Cross Stitch Crazy magazine issue. I usually try to, down in the comments, post what the issue was if you want to go looking for it or whatever. So the colors were chosen by the designer, but I had this really pretty teal, teal and turquoise and gray fabric that kind of look like snowflakes a little bit. I mean, it's not real Christmassy or anything like that, but I thought it looked really good with the colors on this ornament. So that's my fully finished object, and I'm actually really, really, really happy with it. I mean, it's rather large. I mean, it's definitely something that you would put on a big tree. You wouldn't necessarily hang this on you know, something small, but this would also make a really cute decoration on a package, a wrapped package, or a Christmas present, you know, hang it on the bag or whatever. It would make a really cute, like if you have one of those pegboard shelves and you just have a bunch of little pegs, you know, on it, you could hang it as just a decoration. But for a second attempt, I think it looks really, really, really good. So I'm really happy with it. I'm really like, I probably could have made my margins a little bit bigger, you know, because obviously some of the fabric doesn't quite reach the edge of where the Aida comes to. And like I said, the bottom I didn't quite cut, or actually what it is when I turned it inside out, that was where I left my opening, and so I didn't quite leave myself wide enough. I should have gone probably another 1/4 inch either side. But other than that, I think it's really, really, really cute. So so instead of stitching something, which I will work on tonight, I actually think what I'm going to do is probably later on this evening is finish up the stocking from last night and maybe do something similar. Try again a 3rd time to see if I can stitch up that stocking as an ornament as well. And I think the stocking is going to be a bit easier, also because of the way the shape of that fabric is. I feel like it won't be nearly as difficult of a shape. Like this tree has a lot of, I had to try to figure out, because in the original picture you notice this was just kind of a free form. It was meant to look like a tree, but there were no defining lines, so I had to go in and kind of stitch out what I believe the tree shape was, and then from there you know, get the fabric to kind of line up. But that doesn't mean that, I mean, that's kind of a Christmas tree shape, but it could also be like a bell. You know, you wouldn't really know. So that was kind of the thing with this, was I had to kind of guess where the tree shape was. At least with the stocking, it's very outlined as far as the top and then the edges. Maybe not the full shape of it, but you're between the corners and the heel and the toe, you're definitely going to know the shape of that stocking. So that will hopefully be my project for later on this evening, is to try to finish up that stocking. At least get it stitched up so I can say that I did 2 days on it, and you know, I did stitch something today and I won't feel so terrible. But the fact that I got this finished object done, I'm really, really happy about. And it's really blowing out too. I kind of have to hold it back just so you can see it a little bit. But anyway, so I'm really happy that my skills are improving as far as finishing objects go. Okay, so with that, those are my 3 usual things that I try to catch you guys up on every day. But I did mention it was kind of a sewing day for me, so I thought I would share a couple of additional things, probably things that aren't necessarily that exciting, but things that I was working on today. One was, I had some holiday fabric that I decided when I purchased it that I was going to not make very many, but I thought it would be nice to have a couple of festive face masks. And I don't see very many people share their face masks. I mean, I've seen a ton of tutorials on how to make face masks, but I don't guess I see very many people share the ones that they make. But I thought, because these were festive, and I only made the 3 because I don't need a whole bunch, and actually one of the 3 I'm kind of thinking I might be able to get past Christmas with, kind of, because it's a little more wintry and a little less Christmassy. But you'll notice a theme here in a minute as well. So here's the first one with the elastic, and it's basically these little cats that, if you have a cat, you know, if you dress them up, they do not like it. And I just thought this was just hysterical, just the looks on their faces. And all the ones that I do, so I do the cotton, just the standard cotton quilting fabric, you know, outside, and then I do a flannel inside. So, and then the pattern's designed to where you could put an additional like liner pocket. But usually what I do instead is I have this paper folded paper mask. So usually what I'll do is put one of those on and then put this over it. So that's one. This one is two. Again, Christmas, but dogs and cats, which I thought was really, really sweet. So yeah, I'll wear these through at least the end of the year probably. But then this third one, I think I might be able to get away with a little bit longer because it's a little more wintry than it is Christmassy. But this one cat does have Santa hat on, but it's really cute too. And it was, you know, just kind of a wintry themed cat. So I did make those for myself. So I have those to wear through the end of the year, like I said, at least. And I didn't want to make very many. I have several already that I've made, but these, I just wanted to have a few kind of, you know, extra festive ones. So when I'm going to the grocery store between now and the end of the year. And then the other thing, then this was the main thing that I've been working on most of the day because I'm starting to learn with sewing that cutting your projects, you know, the fabric for your projects takes up and cutting and ironing your fabric for your projects takes up an extraordinary amount of time, that when you actually measure out the amount of time or time yourself on the project itself, once everything's cut and everything's ready to go and you're actually assembling it and sewing it, that time is usually like 15 minutes and you feel like you've accomplished so much. But then it took you another hour and a half just to do all the cutting and the you know, measuring and remeasuring, because I'm one of those, you know, they say measure twice, cut once. Well, usually I have to measure like 5 times and cut once because I have to re-guess and second guess and third guess myself that I've got the right dimensions, and sometimes I still cut my fabric wrong. So, but yeah, so I had I was making a bunch of these for coworkers for work. So I had 5 of the 7 I needed to make done. I have them done already and they are ready to give. But this one and another one, I was waiting on the fabric because most of the ones that I'm giving are just pretty fabrics that I think the people will like. These 2 in particular are a little more themed based on the things that I think the person likes. So I did one, I actually got one done. I got the other one cut, and I have all of the batting, and you'll see in a minute here what it is. The batting and the insulation, the Insulbright cut for all the other ones a long time ago. I just had this fabric I still needed to get and cut. And then once I get these last 2 coworker ones done tomorrow, I think, then I'm going to make a few more for like friends and family. So yeah, so my coworkers every year, you know, we kind of do like little minor gifts exchange, you know, and usually it's nothing much, but I always like to make something for the ladies that I work with. So this year, I had debated, I knew what I was going to make, but I debated what specifically, because I wanted to do a sewing project again. I did one last year, but do something different, do something that they could use. And I had originally intended to make a matching set of pot holders. And then when I bought the Insulbright it's basically the heat insulating piece, you know, to protect basically between your hands and the hot object, you know, it's to keep you from feeling that hot object when you grab it or set it on the counter or whatever. When I bought it, there was a pattern for an oven mitt. So this is what I decided to make instead of pot holders for all the ladies. So this one, in case you can't tell, this is Star Wars fabric that I found. I think originally it was probably sold at like a craft store somewhere, but if you go out on Etsy, there are a ton of people the silk fabric. All those face masks I showed, I think I got all of that fabric from a Etsy seller. And then this, I think I found on Etsy because I was going to my big box store like Joann's, and they were out. They were completely out of Star Wars fabric, and I could not believe it. So I actually had to go to Etsy to try to find somebody that still had some that was not asking an arm and a leg for. And nobody's overpricing fabric, don't get me wrong, but some people, I think, might take advantage of the fact maybe that they're the only one. And this lady wasn't. I'm not saying that at all either. And I say lady, this person wasn't doing that at all. I felt like the price per yard I was paying was totally what I would have paid for at Joann's or somewhere like that. So anyways, so Star Wars. And then on the inside is also Star Wars fabric. So this one's done, and I was so happy. I ordered, these aren't the only two that I got. I got a couple more, but this one I just kind of liked. And the person I'm giving it to, I was looking for, she likes kind of this teal blue, and the confetti kind of has a little bit in it too, but I mean, that's not that noticeable. But I couldn't find anything that was really just that color. So I was trying to find something that was also something that I thought, well, if her husband was making, you know how we all are, the husband goes in the kitchen, and I should say, some husbands are really good. They like to cook, and they, you know, or they like to barbecue or something, and hey, do it, you know. But then I started thinking, if her husband was making, you know, a pizza in the oven, or he was grilling or whatever, this would be something he could use too. Started thinking, well, you know, it probably wouldn't hurt that if he had to go reach for something in the drawer, that it was something that he wouldn't mind using either. So, and this is a person I know, you know, very, very well. And so the other option was, if it wasn't going to be Star Wars, it was going to be Harry Potter. And there were still some Harry Potter fabrics out there, but I didn't see anything that I liked that I thought would make a good oven mitt. So this is what I went with. But then in addition, you know, I found some other cute, Joann's I think has a bunch of cute, if they still have any available, the child from The Mandalorian, they have some spatulas and cookie cutters and stuff, so I bought a couple of those to put with this as well. That's the other thing too. Each one of the ones that I make, I tried to find a coordinating spatula, either similar colors or something that I thought that they would like. And then I'm putting with it also like some tea and a package of microwave popcorn and some cookies and stuff like that. So it's kind of a whole little gift thing. So it's not just the oven mitt, but this one turned out really, really, really cute. I'm really happy with it. All the ones I've done, the very first one I made because I wanted to try the pattern and see if it was something that I could reasonably do, I did for myself, and the minute I made it, I've used it every day. Every day I've needed an oven mitt, I've used it since. And just for the record, if you're wondering if it fits, I mean, I've got big hands. As a matter of fact, I was showing my husband the other day, I was showing the one that I made for me to him, and he's got big hands. And he put it on, he's like, that's a little tight. And I'm like, okay, well, you're an exception to the rule. I'm like, I have big hands, and I can get my hand in here, and there is plenty of room, and I can grab, and I can move, you know, I can flex it, so I know it's fine. My bigger concern would be somebody with really small hands. It would look like a welder's, you know, glove. It'd be all the way up to their elbow or whatever. But I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be great. So this one turned out really cute. I'm really happy about it. So that was actually what I spent my day doing, not just my usual daily things that I try to keep track of, but also a little extra sewing projects. So I hope you all enjoyed that. If you have any interest, if you would like to see or know any more information, like the face mask pattern, if you have any interest, I think that was a lady that has a YouTube. I think I found her blog post, but I think she also posted a YouTube video. So if you have any interest, I can add that in the comments. The oven mitt is truly, like, when you buy Insulbright, and I'll show you here. Hold on, sorry. Kind of got a little close to the camera. When you buy Insulbright, this is actually on their page. You notice I had to make a change here because so what you end up doing is making this oven mitt template, and so this isn't the full size of the template. Hold on a second. This is almost 10 inches long, almost, and you're supposed to multiply this like 1.5 times. And I don't know, yeah, 150%. So I don't know exactly what they were thinking. I mean, I know that, okay, so the whole page is 10 inches, right? But the pattern itself is 8.5. So the fact that they said a 9 by 12 piece of fabric, I mean, this is the 9 and this is the 12, it's not enough. So if you guys ever do this, just know I'm cutting 14 inches this way, and I'm barely at that. I am barely getting just a hair's width on the top and on the bottom, but just enough to sew it. So, and that's all you really need, because you end up sewing each the front and the back, like all 4 layers together, and then you sew the whole thing together again. So you end up with a lot of, I mean, they show like this should be like a 1/4 inch or whatever. You end up with a lot of extra bulk around the edges by the time you see how well it fit my hand. So, but yeah, so the deal was, when I first did this, I was trying to find a way to enlarge this, and I know I'm not an idiot. I know how to do it with the scanner and then reprint it, but I was like, man, I was afraid I was going to be doing that over and over and over again, because I was afraid when I enlarged this picture and then tried to print it, that I was just going to have all kinds of problems. Well, fortunately, somebody's website had basically, you can see it's slightly different, so like, but it's pretty close. They had, this is a little more flared, you can kind of tell. They had this already to scale on their website. So, but it was in 2 pieces. It was like, you know, it was like a piece of paper that came to like here, and then another piece of paper that, you know, did just the bottom, and then you kind of had to overlap them, and this was a frozen pizza package, because it was big enough that I could get the whole mitten on there without having to cut 2 pieces and then try to overlay them every time I traced it. So this actually worked out really well. But essentially, it just saved me from having to do all the extra work of trying to enlarge the pattern. But other than that, this is about as easy as it gets, folks. If you know how to use a sewing machine, this is like the greatest project in the world. And the fact that, you know, back in the day, you know, you were going to make oven mitts for people, they're probably going to be really simple. Oh, and the other thing is too, you noticed I didn't quilt mine. Like, I've got not only oven mitts, but hot pads that are quilted. I'm not quilting these. I don't think the instructions say to quilt them either. I think they look great just like this. But you could quilt them. You could monogram them if you wanted to. You know, find a little less busy fabric pattern maybe. But put people's initials on them. There's also, in the instructions, there's a thing to telling you to add like a little ribbon loop or something. I'm not doing, I mean, don't get me wrong, it'd be fine, but like mine, I keep mine in the drawer, you know, next to the oven or whatever, so I don't need to hang it up or anything. So there are so many ways you can customize those. That's great. But just the fact that there is so much fabric out there as far as for everybody's taste and everybody's preference. So every single one of the oven mitts I'm making will look completely different. I've got this one. I've got one for a person who loves animals. I've got another one, or two actually. One of the ladies at work has a cat, so I couldn't help myself. I didn't want to make them all to be holiday patterns, but I did actually make hers with this because I couldn't help it. Look at that face. They are so not happy. They are not happy. It's just hysterical. Anyway, so I did actually make one with this, so it was kind of holiday looking. I think I made one with this fabric. That's what this was left over from. So that's a really pretty, I mean, it's not, like I said, in making this looks kind of wintry, looks kind of like snowflakes or whatever, but not really. I mean, on an oven mitt, it just looks like a pretty pattern, But yeah, I've got another one to make tomorrow that's got cats on it. It's just amazing if you've got somebody who you care about or you want to do something special for, and you know that they like certain things. Or like I bought some fabric for a friend who's a nurse, and that you have no limitations when it comes to especially sewing fabric gifts, because you can customize it and do all kinds of great things. So anyways, so I need to wrap this up. I've been yakking for like forever. If I get some more done tomorrow, I might show you guys some more tomorrow, even though I'm bordering on showing people's gifts on here. And so I don't think they're watching. I don't think they know about this channel. I don't think anybody that I know really that might be watching would be terribly worried or concerned if they saw something, or they may or may not know it's for them. I guess this may be a better way to put it. So I'll try to only show the things that I know are a little more generic, or for people that I know would not be watching this channel. So for now, I'm going to say goodnight. It's been a long day. It's been a nice day. It's been a very creative day. So I hope out there you guys are having some similar experiences. Even if it isn't a creative day, hopefully it's a stress-free one, and one that Saturday where you got to relax, or you got to eat your favorite food, or you got to be with your favorite people, and just enjoyed the weekend. Tomorrow's Sunday. And at this point, we're halfway to Christmas, guys. So be patient and kind with one another. And take care of yourselves. Take care of the ones you love. Stay well. Stay safe. I know the weather's going to start turning on some people. So, if you're in an icy, cold, snowy part of the world, stay inside and be warm and be well. And we will see you tomorrow.